In a world obsessed with external validation, verbal sparring, and strategic displays of intellect, the most powerful act of intelligence is the one no one can see, but everyone can feel. This is the mastery of your inner state. Outsmarting others doesn't begin with cunning words or clever manipulation. It begins within, in the domain of your thoughts, your emotions, your nervous system, and your energy. The individual who can command these invisible forces can influence a room without uttering a syllable. We have been conditioned to believe that intelligence is a matter of accumulating knowledge, processing data, or constructing arguments. But those are surface-level operations. True intelligence is frequency-based. It's a vibration. It's the way your heart rate synchronizes with your breath. It's the coherence between your thoughts and your emotional state. When you reach this level of mastery, you no longer chase control over others. You embody it. The moment your internal world becomes ordered, the external world must respond in kind. Think about it. How often have you walked into a space and immediately felt the mood shift without anyone speaking? That is the resonance of inner state. The heart emits an electromagnetic field that extends beyond the body, and it carries with it the information of your emotional truth. Fear, anxiety, self-doubt, these are detectable frequencies, even if no one can name them aloud. When your inner state is rooted in coherence, when you think clearly, feel peacefully, and act deliberately, you create a harmonic field around you. That is the silent intelligence that does the talking for you. It begins with the breath. Most people breathe reactively, shallowly, and unconsciously. The breath is the bridge between the unconscious body and the conscious mind. To breathe slowly, deeply, and with awareness is to signal to the body that you are safe, that you are in control. This shifts you out of survival mode, where most people live, and into creation mode. When you're in survival, the body is in charge. When you're in creation, the mind is. Now, notice your posture. The spine is the conduit for your energetic alignment. Slouched shoulders and a bent neck compress your power. A tall, relaxed posture with the chin slightly tucked and the heart slightly open signals to the world and to your own biology that you are conscious, capable, and present. You don't need to assert dominance when your body already exudes it through harmony. From this foundation, thoughts begin to shape your experience differently. When you're emotionally elevated, calm, clear, grateful, you think with greater clarity. You're no longer projecting past experiences onto the present moment. You're not defending an egoic identity. You are simply witnessing. And from that place of detached observation, you see more. You hear what's not being said. You read people not just through their words, but through their micro-expressions, their tension, their distraction, and their inner chaos. You become a mirror, and mirrors don't chase attention. They reflect truth. This isn't about being passive or submissive. It's about becoming strategically still. Stillness is not the absence of energy, it is the refinement of it. The more still you are inside, the more you can sense. When others are reactive, you are composed. When others argue, you remain in quiet certainty. This doesn't make you invisible, it makes you magnetic. People begin to listen to your silence more than they do to the noise of others. Mastery of your inner state is not a one-time event. It is a practice, a ritual, a reconditioning of your nervous system. You begin by recognizing the patterns of your own reactivity. When you get triggered, when you feel small, when your heart races without reason, and instead of indulging those reactions, you step back. You observe. You feel the sensations in your body without judgment, allowing them to pass like waves instead of acting them out. This trains the brain to stay present even in chaos. The brain, in its natural state, is chaotic, but with practice, you can bring it into coherence. You can elevate its function by directing your focus inward, away from the distractions, the validations, the games people play, and into the source of true power, your own awareness. This is not escapism. This is precision. You become so aligned within yourself that external circumstances begin to lose their grip on your reactions. And when you reach this level, your energy speaks louder than any argument. People sense your calm and mistake it for mystery. They interpret your silence as strength. They lean in, wondering what you know that they don't. But it's not what you know, it's how you've chosen to be. You've trained your biology to serve your consciousness rather than sabotage it. You've made your internal world so rich, so coherent, that no external chaos can destabilize it. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, sets off a cascade of neurochemical reactions within your body. These are not abstract ideas, they are measurable, physical processes. The moment you feel stress, anger, or fear, your brain triggers the release of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Your muscles tighten, your posture closes, your pupils dilate. Your entire physiology changes in response to that inner state. What most people don't realize is that this shift doesn't stay hidden inside you. It's communicated, broadcasted, through your body in subtle but powerful ways. People around you are constantly reading these signals, whether they know it consciously or not. This is how you speak without words. This is the language of neurochemical signaling. Your body is a messenger. Every organ, every cell, is eavesdropping on your thoughts, translating them into signals, and sending them outward into the world through your movements, your facial expressions, your tone, and even your stillness. These biological broadcasts are not limited to moments of high emotion. They are happening all the time, whether you're walking into a boardroom, sitting in silence on a date, or standing in a crowded elevator. You are always sending signals, and the quality of those signals depends on the chemistry you are producing inside yourself. If you walk into a room full of people with your mind racing in self-doubt, your body registers that as a threat. It produces stress hormones. Your shoulders hunch forward, your eyes dart around the room, your speech, if you speak, may come out a bit faster, a bit higher pitched. But even if you say nothing, that signal is already being received. People around you will interpret your energy as uncertain, nervous, or even untrustworthy. And they'll do it without even realizing why. You never had to say a word. Your biology spoke first. The same mechanism works in reverse. When you practice elevated emotional states, such as gratitude, confidence, calm, and joy, you trigger a different set of chemicals. Serotonin and dopamine, for example, soften your facial muscles. They open your posture. They slow your breathing. These are signs of safety, of coherence, of leadership. The fascinating part is that you don't need a reason to feel those elevated states. You can generate them with intention. When you do, you begin sending a different message, not with your words, but with your frequency. What's remarkable is how sensitive human beings are to these frequencies. The subconscious mind picks up on nonverbal cues at a rate the conscious mind can barely comprehend. This is why two people can say the same thing and have completely different impacts. One person's words fall flat, while the other's presence leaves a lasting impression without needing to over-explain or prove anything. The difference is not in vocabulary, it's in embodiment. It's in the alignment between internal chemistry and external behavior. When your internal state is coherent, when your thoughts, emotions, and biology are aligned, you walk differently, you breathe differently, you occupy space differently. You don't need to push or perform. Your presence carries information that bypasses intellect and speaks directly to the limbic systems of others. They feel you more than they hear you, and when you maintain this state consistently, you become unforgettable even when you're silent. This is not about pretending. You can't fake neurochemical signaling. The body knows when you're inauthentic. And more importantly, other people know too. If your internal state is chaotic, but you're trying to act composed, your body will betray you. Your timing will be off. Your smile won't reach your eyes. You'll give off subtle signals of incongruence. But when your internal chemistry matches your external behavior, there's a harmony that others instantly trust. Even if they can't explain why. Consider the way animals react to energy. A dog knows whether someone is safe or unstable before any words are spoken. Their entire perception is based on nonverbal energy. Humans are no different. We've just been taught to ignore our instincts. But our bodies haven't forgotten how to read signals. They scan constantly. Is this person coherent? Are they aligned? Is their presence calming or activating? Are they safe to follow? These questions are answered in milliseconds through tone, breath, posture, and micro-movements. The truth always leaks through. When you learn to consciously create elevated emotional states, you shift the neurochemistry of your entire system. This isn't just about feeling good. It's about becoming a broadcast tower for confidence, clarity, and calm. That signal changes how people treat you. They defer, they listen, they trust. And all of it happens beneath the surface, before a single word is spoken. The people who command the most respect aren't always the loudest in the room. Often, they're the ones who speak with their energy before their mouth even opens. That energy is a direct product of their neurochemical state, which is itself governed by their awareness and discipline over their inner world. There is a difference between being physically present in a room and being energetically present. One takes up space, the other holds it. Elevated presence is not about demanding attention, but commanding it through coherence. It's not about posture alone, or about confidence in the traditional sense. It is a vibrational alignment, a refined harmony between the heart and the brain, that creates a gravitational pull. People are drawn to it, not because it's loud, but because it's stable in a world addicted to noise. Elevated presence begins in the heart. Most people think the brain is the control center, but the heart actually sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. When your heart is beating in a smooth, rhythmic, and coherent pattern, it informs the brain that the body is safe, that the environment is manageable, and that there is no need for reactive defense. In that moment, your nervous system becomes synchronized, your thoughts become clearer, your emotional state evens out. You enter a state of coherence that the body remembers as homeostasis. This is where elevated presence is born. It is not dramatic or showy. In fact, it's the opposite. When you are present in this elevated state, you are not trying to prove anything. You're not seeking approval or defending your ego. You are fully aware, fully grounded, and deeply connected to the current moment. Your breath moves with intention. Your eyes soften but sharpen in focus. Your movements are measured but effortless. You are not in reaction. You are in regulation. That kind of calm is rare, and when people feel it, they don't just notice it, they feel safer around it. What makes elevated presence so powerful is its invisibility. In a society conditioned to respond to high stimulation and fast responses, someone who radiates calm, intentional energy stands out as a disruptor. Their silence speaks louder than most speeches. Their gaze carries weight. Their pauses are not gaps. They are containers of awareness. And because this energy is not performative, it disarms those who expect resistance. It penetrates defenses because there is no attack. It influences not through assertion, but through alignment. This presence is not something you fake. It is something you cultivate. It requires the daily discipline of checking in with your inner world, observing your thoughts, recalibrating your breath, regulating your emotional chemistry. The body becomes your instrument, and coherence becomes your tuning fork. When your brain waves are synchronized with your heart rhythm, your entire being emits a signal that others respond to at the level of the nervous system. They may not understand why, but they will feel compelled to trust, to open, or to listen. People often think influence is about charisma, but charisma without coherence is performance. It burns hot and fast. Elevated presence, on the other hand, sustains itself because it comes from a place of energetic clarity. You are not borrowing energy from the room. You are supplying it. You walk into a space and people feel a shift, even if they can't name it. This doesn't mean you are the most physically dominant or the most vocally expressive. It means that your field is the most organized, and all biological systems, including human beings, respond to order. When others are dysregulated, caught in anxiety, distraction, or fear, they will unconsciously look to the most regulated system in the environment. This is how leadership happens without authority. This is how power emerges without hierarchy. Your presence becomes a lighthouse, and others adjust themselves to your frequency without even knowing they are doing it. It's not because you're better than them. It's because your nervous system is more coherent, and biology always gravitates towards stability. To cultivate this elevated presence, you must become intimately familiar with your triggers. What throws you off balance? What pulls you into overthinking or overreacting? What causes your breath to shorten, your muscles to tighten, or your voice to shift? When you bring awareness to these moments, you can interrupt the pattern. You pause, you breathe, you return to the body, to the present, to the breath. This micro-adjustment trains the nervous system to remain in coherence, even under pressure. And over time, this becomes your default setting. The most powerful people are not those who control others, but those who master their own frequency. Elevated presence is not about controlling the outcome. It's about being so internally ordered that outcomes begin to reorganize themselves around you. You are no longer reacting to life. You are emitting a field that others unconsciously adjust to. This doesn't happen through intention alone. It requires physiological harmony, heart-brain alignment, regulated breath, centered awareness. These are the invisible levers of silent influence. When they are activated, you become a transmitter of stability in an unstable world. To harness unseen influence, one must cultivate the art of observation. In the silence that follows a question, in the pause between two breaths, lies the power to see what others cannot. Observation is not a passive activity. It is an active engagement of the senses, the mind, and the heart. When you shift from reacting to observing, you step out of the drama of the moment and into a space of clarity. In that space, you begin to notice patterns of thought and emotion, both in yourself and in those around you, that reveal intentions, fears, and desires far more accurately than any spoken word. The moment you decide to watch rather than speak, your mind begins to expand. You are no longer trapped within the confines of your habitual reactions. You become the canvas on which every person and every situation is painted. Each micro-expression, each fleeting tension in the shoulders, every shift in breathing rhythm becomes data. Your body, now a finely tuned instrument, picks up on these subtle cues and delivers them straight to your subconscious. Without uttering a sound, you decode the unspoken narratives that drive behavior. Anxiety becomes visible as shallow breaths and restless posture. Confidence radiates through steady breathing and relaxed muscles. Hidden agreements and unspoken conflicts surface in the nuances of eye contact and the tilt of a head. As you build this capacity for observation, you come to understand that true power does not lie in controlling others, but in understanding them. You learn to read the spaces between words, the pauses pregnant with meaning. A well-timed glance, held for the right fraction of a second, can reveal more about someone's willingness to cooperate than an hour of questioning. A gentle lean forward can invite revelation, while a slight step back can dissolve tension. The dynamics of energy exchange become your vocabulary, and when you master that vocabulary, you conduct silent dialogues that others only dimly perceive. This mastery is born of sustained practice. Begin by observing yourself in moments of stress. Notice the way your own thoughts accelerate, how your chest tightens, and how your attention narrows. Instead of acting on impulse, stay with the sensation. Label it in your mind. Allow the wave of reaction to crest and recede. In doing so, you learn the contours of your own emotional landscape, and you reclaim the freedom to choose your response. This internal practice translates outward. Once you have mapped the geography of your own inner world, the subtle signals of others become as legible as the pages of a book. Observation sharpens your intuition. It creates a feedback loop between what you perceive and what you project. You notice how a particular facial expression in someone else echoes an emotion you yourself have experienced. You begin to sense how that emotion arises, the exact tensions and rhythms that accompany it. And because you have practiced releasing those very tensions within yourself, you can gently guide others toward a state of coherence without speaking. Your energy meets theirs in the field of possibility, and the resonance of calm or curiosity you maintain invites them to join you. In every encounter, your power grows with each moment you choose to observe. When two people engage in a conversation, most are busy preparing their next sentence, crafting their argument, or mentally reacting to what was just said. Rarely do they remain fully present to the person in front of them. But when you shift into observation, you enter a state of expanded awareness. You hear the unspoken, the hesitation before a denial, the quickening heartbeat behind a confident assertion, the subtle tremor of excitement or fear. All of these signals guide your next move in the silent dance of influence. True observation transcends judgment. It is not about labeling behavior as good or bad, right or wrong. It is a neutral scanning of the field, a clear-eyed recognition of what is. When you observe without judgment, you avoid the mental chatter that clouds perception. You become a vessel for pure awareness, unmarred by reactive bias. In this state, you see the undercurrents of desire and resistance that flow beneath the surface of every interaction. You sense when someone is open and when they are closed. You feel the tension that arises when intentions clash and the ease that emerges when intentions align. This elevated capacity to observe cannot be cultivated in the mind alone. It requires a stillness of the body and a steadiness of the breath that anchor you in the present. Each time you catch yourself drifting into judgment or preparation, you return to the breath. You soften your gaze. You relax your shoulders. You ground your energy in the center of your chest, where the rhythm of heart and breath synchronize. From this anchor point, your awareness can expand outward, embracing every nuance of human expression without losing its inner calm. In this practice, time itself becomes elastic. Moments of observation stretch into lifetimes of insight. A single gaze can reveal weeks of unspoken conflict. A silent presence beside another person can transform their mood before they even realize it. You become a receiver of truth and a transmitter of possibility, all without pronouncing a single word. Observation as power demands that you trust the intelligence of your own body and the subtle signals of the world around you. Stepping into authority through the simple act of surrendering to what is unfolding in real-time energetic alignment is the silent architecture behind influence, a force that can neither be faked nor manufactured. It is the state in which your thoughts, emotions, intentions, and physiology are all moving in the same direction. In this state, you are no longer fragmented. You are whole. Your mind is not at war with your heart. Your actions are not betraying your beliefs. You become a unified field of energy that radiates clarity, coherence, and quiet authority. When people encounter that kind of alignment, they feel it long before they ever understand it. This is not some mystical concept reserved for the spiritually elite. It is science operating in the language of vibration. Every thought you think emits a frequency. Every emotion you feel carries a signature. Your nervous system, your heart rhythm, and your electromagnetic field are constantly broadcasting your internal state to the world around you. Energetic alignment means tuning those signals into coherence so that there are no contradictions in your field. When you think one thing, feel another, and do something else, your energy becomes disordered, and people sense that dissonance, even if they can't articulate it. Coherence, on the other hand, is unmistakable. It doesn't demand attention. It attracts it. When your energy is aligned, you don't need to posture, perform, or persuade. You simply are, and that beingness creates an environment where others soften, open, and listen. Not because of what you're saying, but because of what you're emitting. This field of resonance organizes the environment around you. It draws clarity out of confusion, calm out of chaos, and insight out of noise. Most people live in a state of energetic fragmentation. Their bodies are in one place, their thoughts in another, and their emotions scattered across past regrets and future anxieties. They speak from a place of uncertainty, take action from a place of fear, and wonder why the world does not respond with clarity. What they fail to realize is that the external world is only mirroring the internal frequency. You cannot emit chaos and expect order. You cannot think scarcity, feel doubt, and expect to radiate abundance. The signal you send out is the life you draw in. To come into energetic alignment, you begin by slowing down. You bring the breath into rhythm. The breath is the regulator of your frequency. When it is shallow, erratic, or unconscious, your energy becomes unstable. But when it becomes deep, slow, and intentional, your body begins to receive a different message, one of safety, presence, and clarity. The heart responds by entering coherence. The brain, in turn, synchronizes with that rhythm, and the entire system begins to function as one unified whole. This shift isn't theoretical. It's chemical, it's electric, and it's immediate. From this coherent state, you begin to access elevated emotions, gratitude, compassion, certainty, and joy. These emotions aren't the result of external success. They are the precondition for it. When you feel them consistently, you shift your baseline frequency. Your thoughts follow, your behaviors follow, and without effort, your energy begins to magnetize experiences, people, and outcomes that match your inner coherence, not because you are manipulating reality, but because you are finally in alignment with it. Energetic alignment also demands honesty. You cannot pretend your way into it. You must become aware of the inner contradictions you've been carrying. What you say you want versus what you believe you deserve. What you show to the world versus what you feel when you're alone. These mismatches are the static that distorts your signal. And until they are brought into conscious awareness, they will silently sabotage your interactions. The work is to notice the tension and then breathe through it, not bypassing it, but integrating it, allowing your nervous system to digest the emotional charge so that clarity can return. As your alignment strengthens, your presence stabilizes. You become less reactive to the noise of the world. You don't flinch at chaos. You don't chase attention. You are simply anchored, and that anchoring changes everything. You listen more deeply. You move more deliberately. You speak only when words are necessary. And even when you do not speak, people still hear you. They hear you in the pause, in the posture, in the way your energy holds the room without needing to dominate it. You begin to understand that influence is not about pushing energy outward, but about holding a field strong enough for others to step into. When your field is coherent, others begin to synchronize to it. Their breath slows, their defensiveness fades, their thinking clears, not because of what you've said, but because of what you are being. You've stopped trying to control the outcome. You've aligned your internal world so deeply that the external world begins to shift in response. Energetic alignment does not mean perfection. It means presence. It means being so attuned to your own frequency that the moment it drifts, you can return to center. You become your own tuning system. You regulate your own state. And because of that, your very presence becomes a silent invitation for others to rise, to soften, to listen, and to change. Mastering the art of influence without speaking a word is not about manipulation, performance, or control. It's about transformation from the inside out. When you train your inner world to operate from coherence, clarity, and intention, you shift the very energy you project into the space around you. This isn't esoteric. It's biological, emotional, and neurological. You become the kind of presence that others instinctively trust, gravitate toward, and respond to, even without understanding why. True power does not shout, it resonates. It doesn't dominate, it harmonizes. The more refined your inner state, the more effortlessly you shape the outer world. Through deep internal stillness, physiological regulation, conscious breath, and energetic alignment, you become a transmitter of change, subtle, steady, and undeniable. And in that silence, you outsmart not through intellect, but through vibration. You don't win the game by playing louder. You change the game by mastering the frequency that governs it.